已经关掉是吗？
那我给重复。现在没有，现在还是显示的那个海报。然后我从 Zoom meeting 退出去吧，就到时候只显示你们两个。
已经关掉是吗？
那我给重复。
为什么哪有声？
现在没有，现在还是显示咱们俩说话会有延迟。然后我从 Zoom meeting 退出去吧，就到时候只显示你们两个。
已经关掉是吗？
那我给重复。
为什么哪有声？
现在没有，现在还是显示咱们俩说话会有延迟。
啊嗨。
We're almost ready to start.
Yup. Just give it like a 6-minute countdown. I'm already starting up the streaming. Oh, sorry, my mic was closed.
You're good.
Yeah, I've started the stream room already, so just
Okay.
a couple of minutes.
Sort of. Fifth, hey everyone, welcome to the stream. Today I'll be showing you how to take AI images, turn it into video. Over video. Let's take a quick look at the interface. Shallow depth. Shallow depth of field. stream today. I'll be showing you the edge and animate the fit. Let's start by hopping over to Vidu.com and take a quick look at the interface.
So you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's kick things off.
Okay.
Let's go, Bill.
All right, Amy. Thank you.
Hi, what's up, everyone? My name is Shiran, and I'm the user manager at Vidu. And it's my honor today to host the very first episode of Vidu 101, which is our official live stream webinar. Here we provide information about techniques, special tips for Vidu AI, and discuss some of the topics regarding what's happening in the world of art creation. So, for the first episode, we have the special honor to have Bill, aka A.PROFILE.NAME, all caps, with us here today. He's one of Vidu's elite CVP, which is Creative Partner Program, a high-profile TikTok influencer, and today he will be showing us his whole process of anime creation. For those who don't know what Vidu does, it is one of the most advanced AI video generating platform around the world. We provide text, images, and references to video. Also, we have hundreds of templates you can try to achieve amazingly convincing special effects. It is a canvas for professionals to spread their ideas, as well as an entertaining tool that you can play around with the templates to level up your social media. We will be having Q&A session with the chat after the webinar, so if you have any question or anything you want to share, feel free to drop in the chat and we will clear them up for you. At the meantime, you are more than welcome to give Vidu a try or join our Discord channel. Links are below in the brief. So Bill, why don't you start by introducing yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about what you're going to do today?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the stream. My name is Bill. I'm part of the Vidu Creator Partnership Program, a lifelong anime fan. I'm here today to just guide you through some of the tips and tricks I've learned along the way with Vidu and parts of my process that are easiest to follow along with. I'll walk you through some of these tips and hopefully it'll help anybody out who's struggling or just learning the process.
Cool. So today, Bill is going to show us a little bit about anime creation, huh? And I believe like Vidu is kind of a strong tool in the aspect of anime creation because I've been getting that a lot because we've been doing well we've been doing well at that special perspective because we have our bots have this concept and it grabs like it very well at that 24 frames per second like the video it generates. So it's been consuming a lot of the anime clips, I'm sure, because for all the past cases I've seen, it generates so much high quality anime. It understands what's going on in the picture we send it. And yeah, so why don't you lead us the way and start sharing your screen and show us what you're gonna do?
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree, by the way, too. The prompt coherence is amazing, and it definitely shines with anime. So I would love to get into some of those things today, and maybe we could start with just going over the interface real quick and going over to vidu.com. If we go to the left over here on the menu, we have image to video. So I'm going to go right over there and load up this, and this is going to be the interface that we're going to be dealing with mostly for today. For anybody who isn't familiar with Vidu, this is where you could upload an image that would start as your first frame. You also have the option to upload an image as your final frame. This is going to be the most important section for today, which is where we're going to be typing in our prompts. I'm going to be keeping everything pretty simple today. That way you could see certain simple words, how they could have a huge difference in the effect of the feeling by changing simple things like camera movement or character movement. I'll try to keep these things simple so we could change a couple words around like camera movement, character movements, and really see how it can understand our prompts so well. Down here we have settings, and the two that we'll get into today is going to be movement amplitude and style preference. I want to get into those later and just start with the basic prompts for now, and I think that would be the best place to start. Sound good?
Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
Take out away.
Awesome. So, with you guys today, I'm going to generate a couple different images and we'll hop over from Vidu to Google Image FX. It's part of Google Labs. And I usually start here for a base image. You can feel free to stylize more with Pix.AI or Midjourney or your favorite image generation tool. But I'm going to start here with Image FX, and I think it's a great place to follow along because it's going to create an anime style image pretty easily with a pretty basic prompt. Little generic with the style, but great for the use cases for today. It's going to be anime, clear, easy to read. I'm going to start with something simple like anime scene. And I feel like just even starting with that just helps guide the AI with my overall expectations. I'm going to say man with brown hair, blue eyes, leaning against wall, black hoodie, train station, depth of field, and just in case because of any photography mix up, I'm going to say 2D background. And let's see what this gives us. This should give us a couple basic images to go off of, and I think all of them should have some different aspect that we could play around with either camera movement or character movement, and some of the basic prompts and see where it goes. So for these, I think the best one for this case might be, let's try one more actually. I don't want to spend too much time on the image generation and hop over to Vidu. So I got some photos already saved, but I want to generate a few with you guys so you get an understanding of my process still. Uh, with some of these, this one actually looks pretty good. I'm going to download these two, and we should be able to play around with these.
So what kind of things do you like love the most when it comes to the image that you start with? Because maybe it's
Um,
lightning or just the scene set or the characters, just like
well, I like the camera angle for this. Usually I'll have a overall idea of where I'm going, whether it's like an anime music video or maybe a short scene for TikTok. With this, I'm just kind of looking for some dynamic images that have some interesting camera angles, some different effects going on. Like if you see the background's blurred and he's a little bit more in focus, I think we should be able to see some pretty impressive results with things like that. Vidu does a great job of just naturally picking up these depths of field, and I think we'll see some cool effects just it naturally doing it with minimal prompting. So that's going to be the goal with these images for today.
nice.
Um, so I'm going to do anime scene, girl with red dress, white shirt. And I mean, these are just skeleton prompts. Feel free to add some meat to the bones. These are just very simple prompts to start with, just to get a basic image and then go from there. Say black hair, night sky, this way hair, night sky, graveyard. See what we get. And then I want to do one more with a guy on a guy on a rooftop in a hoodie. And I think that should give us some different scenes. Um, let's see how this comes out because I have some ideas. What I'm looking for camera angle, but leaving it open like this, it's going to just give me some different results. This is actually great for what I was looking for. And we're gonna do one more, and I'm sure you guys already have in mind some of the pictures and images and things you've been wanting to animate. So just to get a couple for to play around with, I'm gonna do one more and do man in black hoodie sitting on rooftop city. Sitting on rooftop city, night sky, stars. And just get one more, and then we'll hop back into video and start playing around in there. And I just wanted to get a couple different images, and that way you could kind of see some of the some of my workflow. Usually I'll write either more extensive prompts, or if I am writing simple prompts like this, it's usually within here in Google Image FX to I use it as like a sketch pad. This is sketching to me. But for today's use, this is great. This matches the style of anime. I don't see anything that looks like storyboardish or 3D. So these should be great for today. And I'm going to take these three, and I think they'll give us some different results that are good for the examples.
Nice.
And yeah, and we'll go from there. So I'll start with the first one. Which one are we going to use? Try this. And usually where I start, and this is a personal preference, but I start everything with the anime scene in brackets, and I think it gives the AI an overall direction of where I want to head with it. Gives it like some sort of parameters to follow. So that's like the main thing I want it to follow is anime scene. I want it to look like an anime. I want the man to continue to look at viewer. And I want the camera to slowly zoom in. And I said two because I'm speaking while I'm writing. So menu continues to look at viewer, camera slowly zooms in. These are like the most simple, basic of prompts. Feel free to play around with them, but the reason I'm going with simple ones like this is because everything's right there in the structure, and I think we'll be able to see how little things could have a big difference. So this is right there for you to see and for the AI to read. I want it to be an anime scene. I want him to continue to look at the viewer, and I want the camera to slowly zoom in to capture the expression of his face. So now the next scene, just to show you how the same scene could just have a totally different feel. I'm going to say the man turns away from viewer, and then I'm going to say camera pans.
So actually, when the prompt's a bit simpler, it's gonna give you like maybe a lot of more surprising effects that actually seems logical. That things that maybe you didn't expect, but it turns out to be great.
Yeah, some of the randomness is actually good, and I figure as a place to start, you could always kind of see the things it did and then adjust from there. Plus, with super simple prompts like this, I'm giving it exactly what I want so we could see the results and see how these small word changes. If there's 5,000 words in this prompt and I change two words, you're not going to see much of a difference right now for the example. With something like this, I'm being clear, direct with exactly what I want from the AI. So when I change two or three words too, with like either the camera, I could say the camera, pans or jibs up, you're going to see a big difference. And I think that's great for the examples for today. Also, I notice sometimes if you're too worried to AI, sometimes it gets confused. But at the same time, you don't want to be too vague because then you do get a lot of different random results. One thing I didn't even mention actually was settings, which I want to get into later. So for now, I'm going to keep everything on auto and creative, just because it's kind of like the all purpose. So we'll go with that for now. Uh, I'm gonna hop over to this man on top of the rooftop while these are loading. I'm gonna do a couple more prompts for these so we could I think this one's gonna be a good example for how minor changes could really make a big difference to the whole feel of the scene. To say Man looks up into sky. And then I'm going to say camera tilts up into the starry sky. Into sky, camera tilts up into the starry sky. So it's direct. It's telling it what I want. I want the camera. I want him to look up into the sky and then the camera to follow him up into the sky. So that's one scene. Another one I'm going to do is I'm going to say, man, looks, turns to viewer, and then camera. Again, we're going to go with the zooms in slowly. And now this is more of maybe something captured his attention. He's turning to the viewer, the camera's zooming in. Whereas this one is like a lo-fi music background thing, kind of. He's looking up into the sky. The camera goes up into the sky. It's like relaxing. It's totally different feel with two of almost the same exact prompts. I changed two words pretty much, with what the camera does or what he does. And I'll do one other one. I'll say man looks off. Sorry for the typos too. I'm used to usually being on my phone, so I'm getting used to this keyboard, but my fingers are a little
No, you're all good.
big for
Everybody makes
it a
them.
little bit. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna make a few today probably.
Yeah.
Correct them before I post them in though. So man looks off into distance, and I'll say for the camera, we're gonna zooms out. And then this way, this one's a nice scene to kind of like set the tone or the setting, I think. And then while these are loading, I'm gonna just throw in a couple for this graveyard one. And usually I'll go with anime scene or anime. And I notice when I don't put this, sometimes I'll get like, which is great for certain people's styles. Sometimes they want that 3D cell shaded look. I know without that direction though, it could be random. It will tend to notice the style more often than not and just nail it. But if you're more direct with like an anime scene, I think I've seen even people prompt specifically like low frames per second, and it gave more of like a 90s anime look.
Yeah.
It's very coherent with prompts. So don't be scared to try different things. And this is the thing that worked for me. I noticed I got rid of, that randomness. And instead of like 8 out of 10 videos being good, now it's like 9.5 out of 10, just adding anime scene for me. I'll say with this one, camera zooms into woman, wind blows. Yeah, I'll even say windy. Like I said, it doesn't got to be too complicated for now. I want to also get into, once we see how these generate, I want to get more into pro mode, and how we could enhance our prompts. Eventually, I've gotten to the point too, I can write much longer ones, but it's things like pro mode and chat GPT asking it to do it so many times for me that eventually I just kind of picked up on it. You could use it as a tutor, you could use it as an assistant, so it's two ways you could get from it, but I'll get back into that later, and that will help us with prompts. Let's see some of the results we got with
Yeah.
these. I kind of want to go in order.
Yeah, let's go to sets by sets so we can see like the difference between prompts.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one, everything right now is on auto and creative. So everything's on the standard settings. We're not changing any settings yet. Let's see if I could go full screen with this. Um, see that one more time. Now the camera zoomed in and he turned to the viewer. So rather than saying, the setting is this and the feeling is this and the mood is this and his eye color is this and his hair is this, the picture's worth 1,000 words. It knew exactly what this guy is going to look like as image to video. So I figured just starting simple, me telling it those three simple things. I want it to look like an anime. I want the camera to zoom in and I want him to turn to the camera. It nailed it, you know? And sometimes simple's better. Sometimes you need more advanced prompts, honestly, to really capture things. But, like I said, this is a great place to start. What is this one? Camera pans and he looks away from viewer. So let's see if that did what I told it to do. Again, there's some randomness to it because I did leave so much room for interpretation with the AI. but he did look away from the viewer and the camera did pan. Now, I could have said camera pans towards brick wall and this would have been intentional, or I could have said camera pans to left and maybe takes focus on one of the people walking by. But like I said, simple prompts for now, and now I know where to refine. I like it panning into the wall, so I think I'm going to use that one. Now, this one was the man looks uh up into the sky and the camera tilts up into the starry sky. Now, this one it did a little bit of a zoom in. So sometimes it can be a little random, but I would still keep that scene. That's great. I what happened was, and I think is it took emphasis, and this is why I like simpler. Simpler is the better. I should have maybe took out starry sky and just put sky. So the fact that I said starry, I think it focused on the stars, little things like that. And I could be wrong, but that's just my assumption from it. So most of the time it's with my prompts, if anything, and then I could figure out where to adjust from there. Um, Now this one I said camera zooms in slowly and he should be turning to the viewer.
Hey, do you mind like download them to your computer and then show us again? Because I think I've seen, yeah, a little bit frame drops.
Little lag, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, let's get these off of here.
Yeah, because yeah, I see what you mean by basic point. It's just a little bit laggy when it comes
Well,
to the.
another useful thing too. This computer screen I'm using is huge. If we upscale them too, you'll see a difference on a screen like this
Oh,
big time. But for the sake of now, uh let's see what we got without the lag. So this one did something really cool and again random. And I think that was, let me make sure. That
no, actually, I'm
was
I'm still seeing a lag.
man turns to camera, zooms out slowly. Okay, so that was this one with camera zooming out slowly. Now what happened is it kind of did like an orbit around him without me telling it to do that. Um Once we get into settings, I could show you guys a couple things on how to fix things like that. If we go to more stable or small, you'll see less movements like that. It probably took it as a large movement by doing it automatically. So again, we could refine more with more detailed prompts or more refining with settings. But for now, these definitely are accomplishing the goal. The camera zoomed out. It did something a little weird with the depth of view where it kind of zoomed out of the background more. But if I recreate this one, see how this one came out. Or you know what? Let me download it first in case there's that lag. Download. Let's see, this should be the new one. Let's see. Nope, that's the old one. This should be the new one then. Nope. Nope. Let's see, is this one? No, I don't think it downloaded. How are you doing? Are you seeing any lag on your side right now after it
This one
plays
is
through?
better because I think it just need to be replayed like a couple more times to make things,
Yeah,
yeah, to make
you
it
know what?
buffer. I don't know, yeah,
I think I played it a little too fast too before it loaded. Once it plays through once, I'm not seeing any lag on my
yeah,
end. I don't know if it's on the stream,
yeah. It's getting
but
better.
this one did good though. I said windy and it understood windy pretty good, without me having to even prompt, her dress moves in the wind, her ribbon moves in the wind, her hair moves in the wind. I just said windy and it knew what I meant.
Oh,
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Um, so I mean, these are some basics. I want to try a couple different things with this one. Maybe camera. Let's see if instead of camera movements, we're gonna do she walks closer to viewer. And then with this one, I'm gonna say she turns away from viewer, which is actually probably the one I should have went with the beginning for a scene like this, actually. Just looks naturally like it should be there.
I see you're
But yeah,
trying to
what
create some editing point, like when like the previous one when the character is when you said the character like put the cameras towards the wall and the the character looks away, it actually creates a point where you can edit stuff out because once the camera moves into the wall, it's gonna be blurred and all black, and then it makes a really good point to cut scenes after that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So absolutely. One thing I've noticed is already I've kind of ditched using some of the traditional effects on CapCut when I'm editing these, and sometimes I'll do the effects right in here, or even those transitions like that. You could prompt the transitions yourself. Stuff like that's a great transition. You could say zoom into the phone screen, and then maybe in the next scene, you start from that keyframe and zoom out. Another thing now that you brought that up, actually, it's a great point. I want to go into my files real quick and show you another thing. Uh, I think this was the one where the camera panned into the brick wall. So another thing I could do is once we get to the last frame here, and I'm used to the phone, but let me see. It should be right here. So save photo from video. And I guess this is how you'd be doing it on the computer. On the phone, it's like really simple, but sorry, bear with me for a second. Oh, here it is. Your face was over it. So save this frame. And so now I could save this frame, the last frame of that video, and then extend that into the next scene. So
I
I could
think you
even
can
start from
do it
here.
in video too. Like you can extract frame from the video clips that you generated. It's right.
Can you from the last second? I didn't even see that here. That's why I wasn't even sure.
Oh, if like the last frame
Huh.
is right there, you can do that.
Really? Oh wow. So that's something. Okay, see, as much as I've been playing with this too, there's always something new to learn with
Yes.
this. Um, huh. I didn't know you guys added that in. Where do I do that from on here?
I think it's at the bottom right corner. Uh,
Share
yeah,
frame
the frame
extension.
extraction.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
okay.
you
Yeah,
go.
that's brand new. That's like, okay. I didn't even see that. So awesome.
Yeah,
Okay,
just make
what?
sure
So
you
this
have the right color because sometimes it does pan out the color into like different. It's gonna be a little bit different, but I'm sure it's gonna be good like 90% of the time.
Oh, so
Yeah.
that's cool. I gotta mess with that more later so I
Yes.
could screenshot from here and then
Yeah.
do it. Okay, so that's less times I gotta go out of the app. So all right, same concept, but I guess you could do it right within the app now. That's my fault. Sorry for
Yeah, it's all
uh
good. You're doing great.
not keeping up to date with that update. But yeah, so you could take a screenshot, I guess, right here within the app too, and then continue from it and do these transitions. So from it being that brick wall, if I had planned it ahead of time, maybe even we could go to the graveyard scene and that would be one. I would probably want to make one more where there's like a character opposite of this wall to mess around with that one for now. Um, what did this one do? Looks off into the distance, camera zooms out. So it kind of uh did this orbit again with it. Let's see what this one came out with. These are all usable though, and that's one thing so like there's one or two that did something weird. Most of these though is like perfect, as you can see. That's exactly what I asked her to do. Turns away from the viewer, camera zoomed in a little bit. It's clean, it's clean and it's simple, but it does the job. And then the couple ones that maybe are a little, again, I think this one went with like a large movement for some reason. So I guess this would be a good time actually to get into settings. So if I say man looks off into distance and camera zooms out and I'm getting too much of a large movement like that with auto, it probably picked large movement. I think there's even a way to check, but if I go to small, for the movement amplitude, you'll get less of that. So I'm gonna explain these real quick. Usually if it's like an action or fast-paced scene, a lot of camera movements, turning the movement amplitude up helps with anything when you're getting too stiff of a movement. If it's battle scenes, if it's just fast-paced movements, this helps. Again, now it vice versa applies too. If you're getting too much movements and you want it a little more stiff, choosing stable or smaller movements usually helps with that. I notice you'll get more, it looks like so not AI when you go stable and like small movements. It just looks like it's done by hand, but a little on the stiffer side. Whereas large, you're you'll get amazing movements, but it's more prone to maybe making mistakes. So I think finding the happy medium for each shot. Like I said, if it's like fast-paced battle, you might want to go with that large movement amplitude so it's not too stiff. Um, if you're going with just like a simple mood setting, scene like this, you might want to go with more of a stable shot. I did some of these earlier, almost the same scenes. I ended up getting different pictures and animated these. This was an upscale, but I want to show you some of the prompts and some different things it could do, with just really simple changes. This one I had it as rooftop at night. Man turns to viewer, camera zooms in slowly. On this one, he turned away, but if you see how it blurs out and then it starts focusing on the background, these are some great effects it's captured on its own, and it just realizes what to do. But again, giving it those basic commands, it got the most of what I was asking for the most part. I don't see any random 3D movements or anything that looks realistic thrown in randomly. And I think setting the parameters for anime scene helps with that. This one I did name the scene a little bit, very brief explanation that it's a rooftop at night. And then the action, and the camera action is usually where it's the most important. And for right now, like I said, starting simple, we could see where there's only a couple words changed. Man turns away from viewer and camera pans slowly, and it understands what I'm talking about for the most part. And anything it does do, because I have it on the creative style preference, it's desirable to me. Now, I think this is one of the ones I ended up lowering the movement amplitude. And you can see where it's more stable, but less movement going on. It would be a little stiff for a battle scene, but as far as it just zooming into this guy's face, perfect. Maybe we could play around with some of these and recreate these. So for this one, I had anime scene, rooftop at night, man looks into the night sky, camera tilts up into starry sky. So again, we're going with that one. This was auto and creative, but I'm going to go with stable and auto for now. And think of these as like that guideline for like, just like how I put anime scene as my guideline. I don't want 3D movements. These options use to your advantage. They're guide or guardrails for the AI. If I put it as small, it won't be able to move too much. If I put it too large, it might be a little random. So it's good to play around with different settings too. It definitely changes a lot. Another feature, actually, while that one's loading, maybe, or some of these loaded. Let's see how these came out. And then I want to get into the pro mode explanation, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And that way we could take these prompts a little bit further without having to type a million words ourselves. So this one, man looks off into distance and camera zooms out. Perfect. Anime. It's looking off to the distance. He didn't turn left. He didn't turn right. So sometimes keeping it simple like this, for me, it seems most beneficial when that's all I'm looking for. If I'm looking for something super specific, I'm going to be more specific with the prompt. And to help guide with that, I would say pro mode right here is a great feature. So I'm old school, I guess by now. I guess anything you did a month ago in AI is old school now. But I would copy my basic prompts and put them into like ChatGPT or Gemini and have it improve my prompts based off of I'd feed it like some of the information on like Vidu's guidelines, like right from your site, and then it kind of go from there. The thing is, this is built by you guys for us, so it has like I feel like the best understanding of what the prompt structure should be. So if I click pro mode real quick, I want to show you how different, how much more it's going to add and build upon that simple prompt. And if you see, I'm going to click optimize before we get too comfortable with it. This is how to use it as an assistant, I feel like, right? I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to write literally, the most simple prompt in the world. And I'm going to give it to pro mode to optimize, and you can see the difference. This says a lot more about the scene. This says a lot more about the directive of where I want to go with. Now, the way I would recommend using it, and it's to improve yourself too, and is to not rely on it too much. Use it a couple times, but try this. Try taking it off of pro mode, and you get the secret sauce right there. It's going to tell you exactly how you should structure your prompt. There's your subject, there's your environment, motion, shot size, the camera angle, everything's right there for you. And now you could go in and play around with it yourself. I might not want the camera to zoom in. I want maybe the camera to zoom out, and I could go in here and see little things and start changing things around. But as I see the structure here right in front of my eyes, and I see how it got a little more complicated with it, if I erase this, you'll see it's kind of a clearer understanding. There you go. There is the perfect prompt structure for Vidu, it seems like. And so some of these things I left out in the other prompts because it just wasn't relevant to it. I just wanted the camera to zoom in. I just want his head to turn. But feel free if you really are trying to get certain things, like I want this this camera angle, and I want it to shift to this camera angle. Try some of these different things and try writing it yourself. And like I said, I think the best way is to use it as a tutor. So I'm gonna go in real quick and go to pro mode real quick and do this one more time. Bring it back and show you a couple different changes I might want to make with what it would naturally do on its own.
This is something that I've never thought about. Like by retracting stuff from pro mode, you can actually get this whole picture without the pro mode. And meanwhile, it shows what is the best form of the prompt to show the video because it's just leave out what you're actually asking and what pro mode really added up for you. And you can just add it within that form, which is amazing. I've never thought about it like that. I thought
Yeah,
I just go with promo and just let it run. So
I think pro mode does amazing on its own because I see how it blocks in some of the different subject references. It is capturing it and it knows what it is. So it's not that I don't recommend using pro mode. I think it's amazing alone as the assistant, but I just feel like it's great to use it in both ways. Especially as you're learning to prompt, is to use it as a tutor too. Just extract it right from there, and now you have the structure and you could sit around and play with it yourself.
yeah, it feels
Clad in
like
a
you're
dark
actually
hoodie.
communicating with it, like communicating with video,
Yeah,
and it tells you what you
yeah.
want. It feeds you back and with what it's asking for. So this is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right here, I'm gonna put in my little things that I like. So again, anime scene right to begin with. Silhouetted against the night. So again, so this might confuse the AI, right? So I don't want him silhouetted really. I don't want him like becoming just a blob in here. I'm sure it'd do a nice silhouette effect. It's just not what I'm looking for in this. So it could come up with these great ideas, and that's where I think it's very useful. If you just click pro mode, optimize, and go, it's going to make something amazing, but you might not have that control over it. Whereas if you bring it in here, it's like it's teaching you how to prompt. And then you could just kind of play around with it, get used to rewriting these kind of things on your own. Um, Scene unfolds in a rooftop, and see even environment. I'm going to change it to a rooftop panoramic view of a vibrant city night. Sky amplifies these, and motion level is not needed when you're outside of pro mode because you have your movement amplitude right here. So I feel like having both just kind of confuses it. So that's one thing to take note. If you do extract it and do it on yourself, I would take the movement amplitude out altogether because that's right here in the settings. Camera movement, zoom out, shot size, medium shot. Yeah, let's try this. Mess with this. We'll try this with the normal settings just to see the difference from the ones we generated with the basic prompt and the ones with the more advanced prompt that pro mode structured for us.
Yeah, I kind of
And
actually
then
wonder what if you put the amplitude in your prompt against your setting? Maybe it's gonna be large in the setting, it's gonna be little small movement in your prompt.
Actually, that's a really smart idea. See, and this is the most coolest thing about AI, right? I feel like is there is so many ways to be innovative and creative. You have to think outside of the box.
Yeah.
Like if you only used what was like perfect every time from AI every second, yeah, you'd never get anything done. It's like being creative, thinking outside of the box and realizing like what you have to work with. You just pointed out something that I never even thought of. What if we did the camera movement as large and then maybe put I think stable or movement amplitude. I feel like the movement amplitude would apply more to the camera. So what if I put it as large and I say character movement? And usually this would be normally within my prompt, but I think this is an interesting way to test that out. I didn't even think of that. Where let's say character movement still, maybe that would be even a more direct way to communicate with it. Something to try. I want to mess around with it. But I want to go back down to some of these. Uh, so I could show you one thing with changing a couple different things. So I want to take this one, recreate, and I'm going to create it with no prompt at all, actually, and let it just get super creative. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on small and stable. And I'm going to try actually one more with to viewer. Now I want to create one with small and stable, and then I'm going to create one with large and creative. So I think everybody could get a good understanding of how different of a result you'll get by doing things like that. Um, might have some examples.
And for those who just joined in this streaming, this is Vidu 101, the first episode, which is the online webinar streaming presented by Vidu, an AI video generating platform. And here we introduce the products, we show you how you make your production with Vidu, and today we're doing animation. If you have any question, please drop in the chat and we will answer after.
And so one thing, am I seeing close up of face, extreme close up of eyes? Sometimes repeating yourself, I noticed will reinforce certain things. So if I say close up of face, um sometimes like in a scene like this, I'll reinforce it by explaining myself a little bit on top of it within the prompt, which would be extreme close up of eyes. So it realizes that I want it pretty close up to the eyes. Uh one thing I think we could do real quick to kind of show is the start and end frames while some of these are loading. And then that way I could just kind of go over everything as after it loads and show you some of the different results we'll get with just very simple changes in the settings. Uh, let's see with this. I want to do a start to end frame. This
Yeah,
one I did
maybe
earlier that
after
worked
that,
out.
show us a little bit about how you stitch those materials together. Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah,
so
yeah. So we could go into CapCut
mhm.
afterwards, and I could show you some basic things with that. Um, for this one, we're gonna say anime scene. And again, we could get as complicated or as simple as we want with this. Oh, sunrise. Floating hat from sky. Places it on his head and turns to viewer. Now, Eventually these settings will just kind of start feeling like intuitive, like what you're going to want for the scenes. For this one, I'm just going to leave it as auto because we have a start frame and an end frame. Um, but I'm going to do one other thing too, where I do the movement amplitude as large and creative. And what you're going to see is probably the camera shifting a little bit more erratically. You might see the hats kind of floating off a little crazier. So I'm going to try it with large and creative. And then I'm going to also do one with auto and stable. I don't want to go with small movements because that is actually a pretty uh not big movement, but it's not something that I don't think I would go with small. But we're gonna try stable. And then that way we could just see some different results with the same exact prompt and just some different settings and see what it gives us in some different ways. Yeah.
And if you any of your generation like is in queue for too long, you can just screenshot it and report it to us, so I can get some feedback to the team because we
Yeah,
are
yeah, absolutely.
collecting back cases as well.
Oh, this one. So now again, this is something I could have prompted in the train moves, but just leaving this, uh let me see something real quick. What was this feedback? Okay, this was all right, small movement amplitude and stable, which is weird because this is actually some of the most movement I've seen. So sometimes there can be some randomness, but like I said, with Vidu and anime, it's always like happy accidents, it feels like,
Yeah.
if any. Uh it captures the style. It keeps it anime looking. I don't see anything that's like random glitching, even when it goes outside of the prompt parameters and just kind of does its own thing. Uh, I don't see anything that looks weird or out of place. It gave me a beautiful scene. That was a little weird. What is it? Turn to viewer. It disappeared. But again, all right. So these are like happy mistakes, right? So like that could be a scene. That could be a great freaking scene. And that might help me brainstorm now of things that I didn't even think of, right? Like, I did not have a game plan for these characters or scenes. Like, I'm actually going to make an anime video with this today. I want to take some scenes and show, everybody how we could just animate these with video. And now all of a sudden, I'm thinking of a whole power for this character. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe he could walk through walls and stuff. Maybe he could turn invisible. That's cool things like that. That it's like happy accidents, man.
Yeah, maybe it's just
It's
some other characters reminiscing this guy, and he just like
so
plays out the memories and stuff.
so the amazing thing about Vidu, right, is even when it does something random like this, right? And you saw with all the other ones, it did exactly, camera moves this way, the man looks this way, and it usually does at least two out of the three of those things perfect every time. Now, when it disobeys a little bit, it's usually because of the structure of my prompt. I realize I'm like, okay, like I said, the starry sky. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have mentioned stars. It zoomed into the stars. I confused it a little bit. But anytime I do see any randomness, like stuff like this does not look like some glitchy randomness. It doesn't look like AI glitching. It looks like somebody purposely animated this guy. That's a hard thing to do in animation is to just, fade him out perfectly like that and keep the background. Anime the AI realized like exactly what should be behind him. It's impressive to me. Even when it makes a mistake, they're happy mistakes. This one, the camera, the train movement's great. Now I'm guessing this one was with large movement amplitude. Uh, let me see. So all the information's right here. Yeah, large and creative. So this is perfect for the example. Uh, when I choose large and creative, you see how much he's moving. Do you see how the camera is shaking now? A little bit. There's like a sway. There's like a sway. It looks like somebody's kind of like video recording him. Uh, the train's actually moving at like full speed now. So little things like that, and I could prompt these things, but again, these settings are so important to learn because it helps guide it. So instead of fighting with it and thinking it's something wrong with my prompts, sometimes it could be within the settings themselves. So if I put within that prompt train moves and I put on large movement amplitude, I know I'm going to get something more along the lines of what I'm looking for. Now this one I did see actually a little bit of glitching.
Yeah,
Let's go up to the
it's
next.
just
Let's go up to the next one.
got too many hats.
Little bit. He did something a little weird with the hat,
Yeah,
but the other ones disappeared. But it got so again, I wouldn't throw this out because from there on, right? I might want to cut and chop that for a scene. Like from here on, that's perfect. you know,
Yeah.
does what it has to do. So
What? Why is it
creation
deleted?
position. Sure, I might have had a lot going on at
Okay.
once. I've just kind of been
And I just see somebody from the chat that asks, like, what if you mention the train or subway to time lapse? Maybe the train scene.
to time lapse. Oh,
Yeah.
like a time lapse. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Let's try that. And again, I think that was a great suggestion, whoever suggested that, because that's great for the large movement amplitude. Anything
Yeah.
like that, that's exactly what I would be using large movement amplitude for. So let's say you know what, with this one, I'm gonna try both. I'm gonna try with anime scene and then one without anime scene on this one. Because I think that AI is gonna realize like time lapse is more of like a photography element or a movie kind of thing. Let's say, but let's try both. Let's say anime scene, time lapse. Sorry,
Ah, you're doing
this
good. You're doing
keyboard.
good. LAPSE, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is such a. I'm so used to my phone, and it took
I
away the other
believe we
one.
just yeah.
All right. So anime scene. Sorry about that. I'm
Yeah.
still used to this clunky keyboard. You'll hear it clicking away too as I'm going. So anime scene, time lapse, uh, characters in back. Character in foreground moves at normal pace. Let's try that. And then I want to try one without the anime scene so that the thing that we reinforce at first is time lapse, actually, as the most important request from it. And see what it does. Time lapse is a hard one for AI, I think. That's a cool one though to try. I think it's a perfect one for large. That's a
Yeah.
good use for large.
And sometimes I do get like when I put up a, you know, anime sketch as the materials, as the image that it tries to generate, it actually happens that it turns objects into like 3D or real life items if I do not put anime style. And for some of the models, I believe we have like in settings, you can choose whether it's anime style or realistic style. I believe this text to video. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and that's the next thing I actually wanted to get to was some special effects we could do with that is amazing. Um I want to real quick try one thing with this for large movement amplitude and something more stable, but we're going to say anime.
and so for this question in chat, yeah, every generation costs you the same credit, and every time you're trying to fix this, it's like one another generate by recreating. So it costs 30 in this case every time.
And that's why I'm doing a lot of the playing around with different things right now too, so you guys don't have to waste your credits figuring it out. Let me
Yeah.
make the mistakes right now and figure it out for you, right? Um so here's another good example while his suggestion is loading is the anime scene character holds flame in hand, and I'm going to keep it super simple like that purposely so that we could see one with large, or actually holds flame in hand, then throws fire, epic attack scene. Let's put that. And I'm just going to put large and creative. I think that alone, the setting is, I'm pretty sure I could put this with no prompt, and just putting it large and creative is going to make him do something along the lines. It's going to recognize that and do something along the lines of him like throwing this fireball. The camera's probably going to do some shaking. Again, large, great for like large movements like that, high pack scenes. Now, again, if you just wanted this to be a scene where he's just talking, I put one in for anime scene. I put it as a small movement and stable so that you'll get probably just the flame moving, just the camera slowly moving in, and he won't be moving a lot. Whereas you'll see large and creative, he's going to be moving all over the place. Camera's going to be moving all over the place, which is cool for certain scenes. Let's see if this loaded yet. While these are loading, oh,
we got
it loaded. It
jump
surprised
start.
me. But yeah. And what was this? The time lapse. Oh, this was the time lapse one. And yeah, dude, he's moving at a normal speed, and the people are moving faster. The train, I feel like, should be moving a little faster if it was a
Yeah.
time lapse,
Yeah.
right? But it understood where I was trying to go with it, I
Yeah.
think. And again, that's one that let me take this. Let's recreate this. Let's promote it up. So I'm not sitting here wasting time figuring out writing for 5 minutes how to improve that. That's why this is here, right? So I'm gonna optimize to take it out of pro mode, and I think I'm gonna see what it likes for time lapse right here, right? So Tulsa brown hair, black coat, hoodie, leaning against the brick wall. The character remains still throughout the scene, observing the bustling activity around him in the foreground. Perfect for time lapse. That's awesome that it described it this way. Other characters move at a normal pace. No. See, it did great, but I want to edit it. The dynamic movements, highlighting the passage of time. That's great. Environment, the scene is moody. The background, blurred figures, active environment, overall atmosphere.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this might be like the last cases we are diving into.
Oh yeah,
And yeah, and
yeah. So
after that, we're gonna like maybe talk to the channel, or maybe we can maybe
yeah,
start some conversations about like.
absolutely. I didn't even realize how fast the time went by. I
Yeah,
guess I'm gonna
actually,
save some stuff for
these are
next time.
all very useful, and I was enjoying it very much.
I want to show
Yeah.
one other thing for this one, and because I thought this was one of the coolest little discoveries I found out with Vidu. So I'm gonna recreate this real quick and show you guys one other thing because we didn't even get into text to video. So I just want to do this real quick.
Yeah.
Anime scene, no people, powerful spell erupts in midair, night, glowing red magic, circle forms and pulses. I'm gonna put that in, and then I'm gonna do one for lightning strikes stone. Lightning strikes stone. Storm forms overhead. And little things like this, and I don't know if we have time to wait for these to load, but I think this was one of the coolest things I've seen. If you go from text to image or text to video in Vidu, it's hard to get the same exact style as easy as it would be from going from image. But using it for like special effects or transitions, you could replace almost all the special effects within CapCut by telling it things. You could even go in labs and generate a flame with a green screen background, tell it to animate it, and then come into CapCut and do simple overlays, which I'll get into stuff like that, I guess, next time. I didn't realize how much time I was spending on this.
Oh,
That
you're
we
doing
didn't
good.
really
Just
get to the
yeah, because
CapCut.
that's what I want to know next. Because the special effects we were talking about is really amazing. Especially like we were talking about like how to throw moves from characters. Like skills or spells. Yeah, like the ninjutsu from
Yeah.
Naruto, so things like that.
Yeah, so that might be one thing I would do right there is so perfect example. Good. I'm glad this generated the way it did. I could show the example. This was with low movement amplitude and stability, I think. Stable? Yeah, auto and stable. But it kept it stable. It kept the movements pretty minimal. It actually kept the movements where it wanted to because it was auto, but it kept it stable, so that limits it. Whereas this is the most movement you could get, large movement amplitude, creativity, and this was more of a dynamic move of him throwing the fire. So it's just to show you how the settings could make a big difference. You could go as crazy as you want with the prompts. This one did some weird stuff. But you could go as crazy as you want with the prompts. You might be restricting yourself if you don't have the settings set to the right way. So that would be one of my biggest advices. like I said, next time I definitely would love to get more into CapCut and doing some frame to frame transitions, and then taking some of these text to video effects and overlaying them and showing you some cool ways we could throw it together. What are we looking at with time?
We're still great. It just like yeah, we can just put as much as we
Oh
want.
yeah,
Yeah, just wait
what
for
are
all these to generate, and maybe we can elaborate on that a little bit, and then we're
okay,
gonna have a small discussion with the chat, or maybe with you. I got a couple of questions
okay.
for you too.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you'll see, and like I said, sometimes I'll go into Chat GPT and I'll throw back and forth ideas. I'll try to structure a story ahead of time in a game plan. Um, maybe I might even throw one of these scenes into Midjourney or GPT and ask it to change the scene slightly, then hop in here. But we also have the character reference tool too, which could give you consistent characters. So there's a lot I didn't get to touch on today, but I think for today this was a good start with your prompts, how it's going to guide it. The biggest keywords are most important because you saw some of these prompts. My 8-year-old could have wrote that, and it understood because the biggest things are just described clearly. It might seem vague, but it's not too vague and it's not too wordy either where I'm confusing it. These are just the things that I worked for me. I know there's no right or wrong way to do this. There's only a way you like what you get used to, I feel like, and knowing how to recreate what you're used to liking so that you're not um spending credits as much on the trial phase. But everybody's going to go through that trial phase, and I think that's the best way to start is just hands on. The best way to get a feel for this. I could explain everything I know, and so could every other creator to their blue in the face. And the best way to really understand it is just hop in and play around with it. Try advanced prompts. If it's confusing it, try simple prompts. If it's not doing enough, try the more advanced prompts again. Try different movement amplitudes. That's my biggest advice for it is that the larger movement amplitudes for the flashier scenes, slower scenes, you want smaller movement amplitude, and put the most important things in your prompts, no matter how, simple they are. Make sure that the biggest goals of your prompts are visible and clear and easy to read for the AI. And you would be surprised, as you can see, how much times it'll get it right. Even with a couple that might have did some glitchy things, there's still like 2 or 3 seconds of very usable content within it. Um, just with what we did today, I could probably cut these up into a good 30 seconds, 20, 30 seconds of an anime video realistically, and then some of these, even just taking the scene and extending it. And that's another thing too, is even if you extend these scenes, you don't have to, like sometimes you could get this same character, you could get character consistency just from telling it, oh, I want him to walk all the way over here and do this. Take the screenshot and then extend it from there. And that's a way to get character consistency too within things in different ways. There's different ways to go about this. This one, it kind of got confused. And I think this was the one where I just let it do its own thing. Let me see. It depicts a character with tussle brown hair in the foreground. Yeah, this was the second one. So it confused the wall a little bit. It moved the wall. And then where's the other one I did of that? Or I think that was the one I edited, and then this was, let me see. No, no, that was the one. Yeah, and then this one was just with like I think time lapse. We just wrote time lapse. And so I actually got the better result just by saying time lapse. Excuse me. If you played around with this a little bit, I mean, this is one generation. I'm sure with a few you could get that train right and then maybe prompt the train within there. I think the happy medium would be something between this simple prompt I typed in and what pro mode gave me. The happy medium I think is somewhere in between. These ones, I don't even think we put the prompt. These were just or yeah, very simple prompt. Just movement amplitude changes everything. And here's the text to video, some effects. This blew my mind. I think this is one of the coolest things I've seen Vidu do, that I could just be like, yeah, red spell circle bursts, boom. And it like made something like this. This is super high quality. This one, did I say anime scene? Yeah, it's a little 3D. This one I might have gave it a lot without a scene. Like I said, rock, I said storm overhead. This one I should have maybe gave a scene. Whereas if I was just like electricity and sky, probably would have been the better option for text to video. Uh, but even just putting anime scene, most of the times I'll get stuff like this for effects, which is awesome.
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, some different ways to use it. Like I said, and I think that's where you're going to see like some of the most amazing things is when people are just creative and think outside the box with it. Um, like I said, almost everything I'm saying today that's like, oh, these are things I picked up on. It's like mostly found through happy accidents.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know how that one I came up with typing that in. I mean, that's something anybody could have figured out, but it was like I'm pretty sure it's something I didn't think of that. Nobody showed me to do that. I was just like, wait, I wonder if that'll work. And it did. And so Vidu, like I said, I think you could have every creator on the internet explain this to you to their blue in the face. But the best way is just trying it out and you'll see things that, you know, I think no matter how long you've been using this, it like just kind of surprises me or impresses me sometimes.
Nice. I also got a question from the chat.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, our friend would like a tip on how to generate transparent video with just the FX showing so I can manipulate it as single elements in editing. Oh,
Yeah. So
actually, yeah.
absolutely. That's one. Like I said, I wasn't sure where we were at with time for editing, but this is something super simple.
Yeah, maybe show that one or and something you edited. Or
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So let's do this. I'm just going to import two things that we made today. This one and then that spell circle. Let me go back and just grab that spell circle. Um, so I could just show you real quick. And bear with me. Usually I'm a little faster with this on the phone too. I'm pretty used to this on the
No,
phone.
you're doing good.
So I've gotten really fast with CapCut on my
No,
phone with my fingers. Uh not now, but okay, so I'm just gonna put this scene here, right? And I'm gonna add this scene here in CapCut. Now, one thing I could do, I'm just going to move your face here. There's two ways I could go about this. I could add now this layer that's above, right? That's above it. I could add a mask. Um, and these are different shapes and different ways you could cut it out. So if I add a circular mask and then feather it out, all of a sudden now we have something like this, right? So that's one way you could do it because it's circular. If this was a different shape, it might not work for circular mask. So there's another way to do it. Basic. Let me see. Get rid of this mask. Sorry, I'm going to move your face here right again. All right, so here we could just turn down the opacity too. And this is another way to do it. On the phone, it usually has an option that just says splice, and you can just press the button and it does. It's somewhere here, but I'm not as used to the computer interface. And if we play this real quick, now we have it so that the entire image is overlaid. And I'm not sure if that's what he meant by that, but if you take the effect and the character, these are the two ways I've figured out how to like kind of mix them together. Another thing too, actually, and here's a cool one. Like, let's say I take two characters, get this the heck out of the way, move these things around. That's one cool thing about this being on the computer. I can move stuff around a lot faster. But let's say I take this and I'm gonna go to mask again, and I'm gonna add a mask. And let's do this. Uh there's like little things you could do like this. So you could do like character splits, you know? And so this guy might sorry, I'm so used to the phone. I want to flip him. Da, 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 da.
yeah, just FYI, this is what he was asking for.
This.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm
What
doing
you
okay.
did, what you did just now.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right. Yeah.
It's
So,
perfect.
and one thing now on the phone, I can't find the setting here. I don't want to take up more time trying to find it, but I would probably flip him so that he's facing the other way, she's facing that way. And then you could take stuff even like this. Like I think I did it one time with a thunderbolt I made, and then I put the
Oh,
thunderbolt. It just so happened to go diagonally. And I did one of those things with the mask, where you could do something like this, get that smaller, and then like feather it out. And then you have that as like the spacing in between them too. So there's a million different ways to do this. Like I said, I'm not like some expert editor or anything. These are just like the most some of the basic things I've learned on here as far as mixing these things together.
Nice. Okay, I think that's pretty much what we are gonna talk about today. And just got
Okay.
a few more questions for you. If you can just
Yeah.
maybe stop sharing your screen so everybody can see who is really actually
Yeah,
behind this.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me get off of there. Stop sharing. Sorry.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
So for everybody here today, this is the first episode of Vidu 101, and it's the official online streaming webinar for Vidu. That is one of the greatest AI video generating platform across the world. And right next to me, this is Bill, aka A.PROFILE.NAME, an influencer, a creative partner program attendee. He's a very important member for Vidu as he creates so many amazing stuff for us, including this webinar today. And so I got a couple of questions for you as a visual artist. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, how did you find us? How do you know Vidu?
I had some other creators that I'm friends with on TikTok, and somebody suggested trying Vidu out. And I tried it. I liked it. I think a lot of different AI companies were forming at the time. And then I tried it for anime. And I think the second I saw it animate anime, it's just been above and beyond every other service. There's definitely places it shines in all areas. But anime, the gap is so far in between from other companies that are tools that I've tried. Not to badmouth anybody, all tools right now have something amazing going for them. Um, but that and then keyframe transitions. When I was doing like these Joker videos on my TikToks, and I was just like, I wasn't even prompting them. I was just throwing in like one image of Joker, then this image of Joker slightly turned, and the way I was able to say, oh, like money falls, and he was turning his head, money was falling. Nothing has come even close, I feel like, in keyframe transition, prompt adherence, and just capturing the anime style. There's other programs I've seen where they could capture anime good, but there's always some weird 3D element going on, and it's just not what I want for my style. I'm trying to recreate like early 90s, mid 2000s anime. And I think even newer anime, there's something where like if it gets too 3D, it like loses that feeling behind it. It loses that anime feeling. So that's one way I've seen Vidu shine in a way that's just like it understands how anime should look in a way that other AI just don't at all.
Nice, nice.
So I got addicted.
Thanks for sharing. And the other
Yeah.
question is, how did you start creating anime, or how did you start like creating video?
I
What is your
probably
inspiration at all?
oh well, videos I never did before AI. Drawing I've been doing my whole life. I must have drawn a million of the worst poorly drawn manga strips you could ever imagine. Um, Eventually I wound up doing tattoos, and that's my line of work outside of this is doing tattoos. And it was a client who first introduced me to AI aside from filters. I remember when the filters things was big, and they brought in their phone, and they were just like the way they were able to communicate with me, and we were able to back and forth throw ideas around and able to visualize it. Since then it's been like an AI expedition of like instead of being like, oh, AI no art or art no AI, I think there's a world where they like come together and everybody's happy, and every like it's just only good things come from both. You need the human and you need the AI, and our at least with it, I feel like it just takes limitations off of us, man. There's so much we could do. Even if I was the best animator or drawer in the world, right? Like I can't sing too, right? Like I can't, and animate the backgrounds and do this. Like, you have an entire production team here with you. It's not perfect yet. It's still AI, but this is amazing times. I'm amazed. I'm amazed at the times we're living in for artists and all creators.
Okay, I absolutely love the answer, especially when I'm representing one of the biggest AI generating platform. And that is what I think about it too, because I think it is a very helpful tool that the human being and AI can actually work together, you know, just like delivering your artistic inspirations and let AI does the rest of the work.
Yes.
And even though
Yeah.
we are still developing it, as you can see, but we are getting some pretty good results already. So yeah.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed, and this is just personal opinion, like since I've seen AI come into the picture, I've seen some of the most creative things I think I've ever seen in my life. And this is 35 plus years of just, well, I'm 35 years old, but this is 30 years of doing art, my entire life. And I've seen some of the most unique ideas ever coming from people just using AI. And I think it's amazing. I think everybody should have the right to create and share. And if it's good, people like it. If it's not good, people won't like it, regardless of what you use. And I think we're going to bridge that gap eventually over time, where it's not about whether it's AI or not, or whether it's handmade or not. It's just, what were you able to make, and I think there's a beautiful process using AI too, and some people forget that. They're just like, oh, it's just the end result. But like, as an artist, as somebody who's used it, there's something very creative about saying whatever the heck is on your mind and seeing it come to life and playing with these different things and piecing it together. Only a human could do that, as amazing as AI is. I feel like a world where both of them come together is the best for everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And I guess that's the time we have today. And
Yeah,
thanks for joining us again. This is Vidu 101, the official streaming webinar on YouTube presented by Vidu, an AI video generating platform. I'm with my boy, Billy, actually the greatest artist we have. And his name is Billy, aka a profile name, all caps. You can find his work on TikTok too. And you are more than welcome to give Vidu a try or join our Discord channel where we discuss everything about this product and we can exchange art inspirations just like what we're doing today. And thanks for joining us. I see.
you got you guys host some awesome events on your Discord too. So
Yeah,
I suggest everybody go check out the Discord. There's some really cool projects and events, and that's a great place to start brainstorming too.
yeah. Thank you for that. That's lovely to hear. And yeah, I think that's all we've got today. And thank everybody for being here with us in this chat today. And let's definitely look up for a sequel of this because I feel like there's still a lot you got to share with us. And I would love to hear more as a video user, as a part of the video team, because, you know, we're really hopeful to hear everybody that's been using video about how these things are going, honestly, good or bad. All sorts of opinion are really helpful for us because we are still developing. There's a long way for us to go. But still, thank you for building this foundation for us. This is very important. And yeah, thank you so much today again. And we're gonna be upload this recap for this whole stream on different platform and make sure you can see that and not miss a thing. So thank you again, Bill, for joining us. And
No
thank
problem.
everybody for being here. And this
My
is
pleasure.
Vidu 101, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.